powered by Riverside.
Hello, and welcome into the Sad Fan, where we talk about the good, the bad, and everything that made us sad. I've got to be honest, without you and Wes, I'm a little sad that my solo performance is our lowest viewed video on the network.
Oh, no.
I was like, oh, that one, what is it, like Family Guy? When Peter Griffin crashes his car into, like, his fancy car into the wall, and he goes, ouch, my pride.
So, oh, it's okay, but you're like the glue that holds us together. So I mean, like, you know,
I appreciate it. I appreciate it, and we're taking on more here soon. I know that you being a member of this network, you're going to be interested in this, even though you don't have any time with everything that goes on with your house and your professional life. But we're going to have a movie review show here coming out soon. Yes, now that Josh is done with his botany career, he's going to be able to help me edit and hopefully promote some of this stuff and take some of the pressure off. Yeah, exactly. Because, I mean, you and I tried to record a couple days ago, and you saw how how hard it could be. It's like madness.
Especially since you're globetrotting right now and, you know, stuck on remote islands with internet, you know, I can imagine it's a little hard.
Oh my goodness. That internet was so bad. I was so happy that I even got their, I was able to post the Gorp episode from, for this week somehow, but I could not get their Spotify up until I got home. The production angle that we used to put the Spotify up and everything, it just would not load, even on the military internet. So
crazy.
We do what we can. We shot a video. Well, I shot a video from Secret Beach in Crete that I sent out to Facebook. At least I was trying to. I couldn't even tweet it. I was trying to get everybody to get on, go viral with my shirt off or something. Whatever helps. Whatever gets ratings. Like I think on an episode of Gorp, I said, "Look, guys, I'm going to start selling my feet, or maybe Josh will. I don't know. Whatever it takes to get people in."
I'm sorry, I'm not there yet. You know, we'll see what the offers, what the bids are. I mean, you know,
we're a backwards company. We objectify our men, and we
exactly. I'll just promote.
Yes. What am I going to do? Fire myself? So. For making me take my own shirt off, I don't know. But whatever it takes. I think we should start in the usual place. So what made you sad this week?
As backwards as it is, I hate that the Astros won the World Series. Honestly, I'm in Houston right now, and it has made this town horrible. Worse than it already was. And this town is insane. The only thing that this town has is sports. There's no food. There's no real nightlife that isn't just sketch as fuck as hell. And honestly, like, people just don't care about, like, have never cared about COVID. So, I mean, you know, just germs. I don't know. But what this town has lost its marbles. Like, on Monday, plenty of school districts were closed, but for the ones in the outlying suburbs that kind of ring Houston, of which there are many, some didn't close. And there were multiple instances of bomb threats of kids, like, tweeting to their school districts on a public sphere saying that they were going to
won the championship?
Yeah, after they won the championship, that they were going to bring their AR-15s and shoot up the school because they were not taking the day off so that the kids could go to the parade downtown. I mean, over 1 million people were at the parade, which is pretty insane to me anyways, that there were that many people out there and that many people couldn't even bother to go the next day to vote. But that is a whole different conversation. Yeah.
We don't have a show for that yet. We don't have a show for that yet, unfortunately.
This town is just terrifying. Like, in the ways that they feel entitled to having a day off from work, from school, from whatever it is. And I can understand in the core downtown area, yes, you're going to have a lot of traffic. It's going to be very difficult for people to traverse in and out of the area. So yes, it makes sense for some closures to happen there. But The other thing that made me very happy about that, though, was the person who tried to throw a beer at Ted Cruz. And I love this person because more details have come out. First of all, his defense is that he was trying to throw the senator, the good senator of, the beautiful state of Texas, a beer so he could catch it and chug it. That is his defense. And the best part is he actually sent a text to his friend the day before and said, I would love to be able to throw a beer to a player, have them catch it and chug it, but I don't think it's going to happen in my dreams, LOL. So this guy is probably actually going to get totally off the hook, even though he's being held for $40,000 on bail, which is more than a lot of murderers have in this county, as well as felony with a deadly weapon.
Didn't Rudy Giuliani also try to sue somebody for patting him on the back to get him to move out of the way because he was like doing his job? Like, did that happen?
So very, very similar vibes here.
Big, tough red guys.
Yeah. So I have a feeling.
Throw him a beer. You might end up in jail.
So I have a feeling this guy is going to get let off, but if not, I'm gonna go find his GoFundMe and give him $10. I don't care.
I think that's ridiculous. I mean, you should be able to throw a beer to somebody to let your whole state freeze while he was in Mexico, right? That should be allowed.
Beer at him or to him?
I mean, like, you should be able to offer a beer like, hey, thanks for letting our whole state freeze.
Here you go.
You guys made a great play. And then you increased our energy rates by 250%. And the only reason I'm not knocking it because I had to pay. I mean, I'm not falsely saying this. I was on the Texas grid where I lived in New Mexico, and the bill was ridiculous. Right? And you live in Texas.
Our bill was insane. I probably haven't told you this before, but it got so bad here and our water was frozen that we actually had to boil our pool water and drink it.
Oh, no.
Yep. Not just like use it to like flush toilets or anything like that. We actually had to boil it. We tried to like distill it and stuff. We weren't very successful in that. And then when we did get the water back on, it was just mud running through our lines for weeks. We had to completely repipe our house. So I was
going to say probably due to burst piping and all that stuff.
We didn't have any burst pipes, luckily, but basically it froze like all of the sediment inside and just destroyed everything. So
gave you Flint water.
Lucky. Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure my iron levels are just fab ever since that incident.
Oh my God, all these little people that think they're getting microchips from getting a vaccination, I would love to have them get that iron shot that tests your iron level. That and the tetanus. No, yeah, it's the iron one. It's the iron one because it lumps up your forearm to test your iron level, and then they drop the blood in the water to see if it sinks to the bottom.
Ooh.
Yeah,
I have not had that test.
I'm fairly certain it's the iron. I'm fairly certain. I might be wrong. It might be one of the many vaccinations I had to get in the Air Force. But I'm like 90% sure it's the iron. Yeah, they shoot something into your forearm, and it makes it lump up, like it lumps up. And I was like, even me, as like a night joke, I was like, did the Air Force just put a microchip in? Because your arm like literally like lumps up a little bit.
And then they do the weird. Little. And that sounds like a recipe for having a stroke, honestly.
No, but I would hopefully it doesn't travel to my heart. What is it? Well, I'm not going to give away my age. You don't get to know my age, fans. But yeah, years later, all of a sudden, there goes that iron bubble. There it goes right into his heart. But yeah, that one was weird. I remember that one being weird. And then fast forward to the times now where everybody's paranoid because they're all in their own little echo chambers about what's going to happen and what's going on, and they don't know how to read like a adverse opinion to the one they're like hooked on. And they don't understand that all of media is just about getting you to read. So they're only going to send you stuff you're already reading. So why give you new information? You're reading the old information or the fake information. Sorry, I didn't say that. Anyway, I'm with you. It was sad to see the Astros get validated. I was like, damn, man, that really sucks. Because if they lost, we always had that you cheated, you got what you earned. You never actually won the championship. I was listening to a competing service with our own, and we're not their competition. I wish we were. Yeah, someday. But So he goes, no, they probably still cheated. He's like, remember last time? It took years. I still think they're cheaters. He's like, we found out like 3 years later.
So the funniest thing to me was like, I just never paid attention to Houston. I was like, they cheated, whatever. But so I went down this rabbit hole during the World Series because I was like, what actually happened? And the funniest thing that came out of this like mini, like, rabbit hole research that I found was that Altuve was too stupid to cheat. Like he would hear the signals and would get so distracted and it just confused, and he actually just couldn't hit while hearing the audio cues of telling him what the pitch was going to be. And so he's too stupid to cheat. And I think that is so sad and so wholesome at the same time. Just like too dumb to follow this very easy system for you.
He definitely got it the worst too. He definitely got it because remember the whole uniform gate where they ripped off his uniform and it was like, did they do that because he hit the home run or because he had a wire underneath and all this stuff? Yeah. Like it was always Altuve at the center of all this. So it's funny that you say that. I will say the one person in all of this that I'm happy for was Dusty Baker. I did have that soft spot for Dusty Baker for being around so many years and being so close so many years. I think he was on deck for Hank Aaron's record-setting home run too. So he's been around the game forever.
For a long time.
And he had the Cubs with the whole he was the manager of the Cubs with the whole catch and hell thing. Old dude that caught the ball over Moises Alou. What's his name? Steve. Oh gosh, I can't think of his name. But yeah, anyway, look it up. It's called Catching Hell. There's a documentary about it. But I think his name's Steve. But he reaches out over Moises Alou. That was Dusty Baker's amazing team that everybody thought was going to win the World Series.
I remember seeing it live. But
yes, me too.
But I don't remember his name. That's the kind of trivia that's just like filters out of my head so quickly. But I mean,
Steve Bartman is his name.
I can tell that you didn't actually go and look that up. You actually pulled that out of your little filing cabinet in your head, and that is terrifying. I am never telling you anything ever again.
We'll check. We'll see. We'll do a quality control check after the show. We'll see if I was right. But I'm pretty positive it was Steve Bartman. But yeah, so with Dusty Baker, when he had all those years with the Giants, never won, and then Bruce Bochy comes in and wins 3, right? So he was always the bridesmaid, never the bride, and he finally got one. And it's like, okay, I'll be happy for Dusty Baker, but that's it. That's the only thing I'm going to allow. I'm not going to allow all you Astros fans on your high horse, like, call us cheaters now. What now? And I'm like, all of you just became Astros fans 5 years ago, first of all. Like, so go away. Like, you never existed. I'm sorry. If you want to talk about a hard luck team that's had fans, Oakland A's. I've been an Oakland A's fan forever.
Yep.
And they're everywhere in the Bay Area, and they rep proudly. It's not. I've been to Houston, and I didn't see any Houston Astros things. Barely saw any Houston Texans things. So no wonder the Oilers moved. So take that. But
yeah, that's what's so funny to me is there is no like Rockets pride. There's no Texans pride. There's no Astros pride. The only time you see all of a sudden like these things come up is like playoffs.
Yeah.
As soon as it's playoff season, everyone busts out their gear, and you're like, wait. What? Like, you go to Portland, it is Rip City all day, every day.
Yep.
Like, there are bars. Like, everyone has stuff on their car. Like, if you're down in Eugene, like, there's no proteins there, so everyone has Oregon stuff in place all over their car.
That whole state is run by Oregon, except for Beaverton. Or Corvallis, pardon me.
Yeah, Corvallis.
Yeah.
But the whole, like, everybody up there. And, I mean, you go up into Seattle, how many people still have, like, Sonic stuff?
Oh my gosh.
Like, everyone's like, bring our Sonics back, like there's still...
Well, your brother, our co-host, like almost refuses to talk about basketball until the Sonics are back. Like he hates talking about basketball until the Sonics are back in Seattle. Like he can't stand it. And he can't stand that my team's actually good. I'm like, dude, all of my other teams sucks. Like, and the Warriors aren't even playing great this year. So like, let me have this. They're like 4-7 right now. Like, let me have, like, the championships. Okay, you had the Seahawks, and football's our number one game in America. And you had the Seahawks, like, it's not my fault you had Russell Wilson, who was a prima donna. The team was great for so long.
So this is hilarious to me because my brother and I lived together in Seattle for a while. I lived in Seattle for quite a few years. And I had season tickets while living in Seattle for the Portland Trail Blazers and would drive down all the time for games during the Jailblazers era. So it was
the Jailblazers. But that's the Brian Grant team, right? The Brian Grant team?
I believe so. It was bad. So it was so bad, actually, that when we went to renew our season tickets, we got put in the lottery and got fourth row. For like the same price as like the bleachers. It was great. Definitely a lot of fun. There were times where I was cheering for like the Pacers because they were good back then, and I have a soft spot in my heart for Reggie Miller. But
Reggie Miller was a fan favorite.
I'm just going to talk crap about my brother for a second. My brother's never been a basketball fan ever. I think he's just a Seattle homer.
Yeah, maybe.
For whatever reason, like he's just like glommed on to Seattle as being his, adopted home. And like, given that there's so few pro sports in Oregon, he's really just been like, I'm all Seattle, everything all day. So
I think it's my fault he's a Kraken fan because I decided to be a Kraken fan, and he and I went to a bunch of games in the inaugural season.
Well, this is the inaugural season, but the pre.
No, the Seattle inaugural season was last year.
No,
that was their first season. Yes, it was. I went to all the games. This is their second season in the NHL.
Am I going crazy?
Yeah, this is their second season.
Oh my god.
Yeah, this is year 2.
Okay. Yeah, this is how much I care about hockey, folks. Okay.
No problem. I was like, no, I was definitely there. I have a sweatshirt in my closet from the game. Yeah, I loved it. Well, I think my wife actually stole the sweatshirt. It's probably in one of her boxes of clothes somewhere. Well, because she was like, it's big. I like it.
It's communal property at that point. But
yeah, exactly.
I mean, how can you not love, the new team that comes to your town when there hasn't been, professional hockey in Seattle ever? Was there?
I don't think so.
I mean, you had to go.
Vancouver's the closest you've had.
Yeah, to go see the Canucks play, which I actually have. But it's definitely not the same as like, being able to, take the bus or whatever down to
the monorail.
Actually, please.
You take the train in, and you take the train into like the Nordstrom station or whatever, and then I did it so many times. That's how I know. Is you take the train in or the whatever you guys what's the city rail?
Light rail.
The light rail. Take the light rail in, up to like North something station, and you get off at North Station where like Nordstrom and that mall is. Then you take the stairs up to the monorail, and you hop on the monorail. It takes you right to the stadium.
Wow. I think I rode the monorail in like my sophomore year of high school, like one time, and that was the only time ever.
I've been on times to do that.
I didn't know people actually took that, because if I was going to take something, it was usually the South Lake Union trolley, because it's right in that area. But I never had any reason to go on the little very short.
The Kraken weren't there yet.
That's true. That is true.
But also you have the Seattle Storm, who's a good team.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we talked about Sue Bird a couple shows ago. So there's, Seattle's one of the best sports towns around. But yes, you're right.
It's definitely a fun one. Yeah.
But most places on the West Coast will trump, except for Los Angeles. Los Angeles is not a great sports town. But
no.
They
have a lot of teams, not a lot of like actual dedicated fans. They have people that go to games to be seen, and
it's almost like one of those things. Though there's so many other things to do in cities like Los Angeles, and like even I guess Seattle does too. But it's also rainy in Seattle. I think that's what gets all the fans into the stadium. Is like, you can stand out in the rain, or you can buy tickets to the game, and you can go to the game and go do something. Because Seattle is a great city. So is Portland. But it's rainy, it's wet, so you go see your pro team. You go into the stadium, get out of the rain.
Usually, the Seahawks, though, it does get a little wet there.
I told you, football's our number one game. Things we do for football is a little ridiculous.
Absolutely.
I would say what made me sad this week was Sepp Blatter still being relevant for some reason, even though he stepped down from FIFA almost 5 years ago now. and probably more. He came out and said that he thinks that he regrets the Qatar World Cup and that it's a terrible idea because the country's too small, and that and because of this is why they put in the reformed rules for 2012 going. And I'm like, no, that's not what happened. You're lying, son of a bitch. What happened was you got your money, you got the bag. Now the World Cup's going. No matter what we do, that we can't go back. It's there this year in the middle of the winter, in the middle of the actual European football season, and it's your fault. And you have the nerve to come out and be like, "Oh, I regret this." No, you don't. You got paid. Qatar paid you mad money for this.
Yeah, I mean, it happened under his watch. Like, that is just ridiculous to even go ahead and blame like the new FIFA board. For his mistakes, and that is absolutely ridiculous. If he had any concerns about it, it should have been voiced then. But I mean, as we know, FIFA as an organization, top to bottom, is corrupt as hell.
Yeah.
Like, it is just the money. And it's going to be really, really interesting to see what happens, because I know that, a lot of Americans, a lot of like the Western world is very concerned with.
Well, Australia already protested.
Right. So,
yeah.
But the fact is like this, I mean, the TV rating showed like 1.4 billion, like maybe even a little bit more, as we just crossed 8 billion in the world the other day. I mean, are we going to see the same kind of viewership, even if people in the United States, in Australia, in, Europe decide not to go ahead and tune in and just, catch like internet updates and things like that? Is there still going to be that consensus worldwide that this is wrong, that, the actions of FIFA are wrong? And I unfortunately don't think that there will be as much financial repercussion as there really should be.
Well, the sponsors are going to be there. The sponsors are going to be there no matter what. The sponsors are already there. They're already signed up. It's not going to impact this World Cup. The sad thing is it would impact future World Cups, but I don't think it will, because the next one's in America. And, we're the king
Canada and Mexico.
Yeah, pardon me. All of North America. Did I say America, or did I say North America?
You just said America.
My bad. North America. The continent. My apologies. Yeah. All over. And I'm going. And there's no one's going to stop me, not even my bank account. I will max out my credit card. I do not care. Like, I will never, probably in my lifetime, I will never again see a World Cup that's in America or 3 different countries. Like it will be. So yeah, but he went on to say that the rules of 2012 like implemented that no longer, they won't give the World Cup to anyone that has human rights violations or might cause refugees to build the state. And it's just a long, drawn out stadium that's full of shit. And I'm like, dude, you're just trying to look good at this. Like, hindsight's 2020. So I really hope people like hit him in the face with that. Like, yeah, I bet now. I bet when it's popular to come out, when everybody else is like, wow, this is pretty gross, that you're like, oh, yeah, me too. No, you're the one that gave it to. You don't get to raise your hand and say me too. Like, you gave them the World Cup.
The most ridiculous thing is that even at the time, when they were on the short list, people were saying, like, what?
Yeah.
What is this? Because, the sudden overnight explosive growth of Doha, of like Bahrain, of the Emirates, showed that in that area, in that region, there is a willful blindness to the way that business is conducted and the use of slave labor and just very inhumane practices around that. There is a definite pattern throughout the area, and people were saying it at the time. I remember there was definitely a big uproar at the fact that they were even on the list to be considered. Yep. And not to mention things like just the climate, like how is that going to work out? Because it's hot. Even in November, it's still going to be pretty darn warm and humid off the Persian Gulf. Jeez, Louise. But
it's got a lot of coastline.
Yeah, but they just rammed right through, and
also it's this big.
Involved.
The country's this big.
It is very tiny.
Yeah.
I think only Oman is smaller than
Qatar.
Yeah,
probably Jordan's probably smaller than Qatar.
No,
you don't think so?
I don't think. Okay, apparently, us on the
Bahrain is definitely smaller than Qatar in that region because Bahrain's the island nation, so it's got a bunch of islands. But I think Jordan might be smaller than Qatar too, or am I thinking of Georgia? Not the state. Before all you Atlanteans jump into my mention, there's a country, Georgia.
Oh, you know what? You know why I thought it was Oman?
Why?
This is the dumbest reason. Because, okay, so Oman, there's the Emirates, and then there's this little tiny tip where Muscat is that is separate from the rest of the country of Oman.
Okay, gotcha.
But so there's like Oman, the Emirati coastline, and then the rest of
kind of like you've got the mainland Michigan, and then you've got all the Great Lakes, and then you've got that upper part of Michigan.
Qatar is tiny.
Yeah, it's a very, very little country, and it's very, very hot, as you said, and very, very humid. And I'm sad that he has a platform still to say these crazy lunatic things. I'm sad that someone like him made it as far as he did. And I'm sad that that whole organization is corrupt because it is the world's favorite game. Sorry, Americans. Yeah. I've already stated football's our favorite game in United States of America. Let me be careful.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep messing this up. But the world's game is FIFA. What's that?
American football is gaining popularity in Japan. Like that, it just will never cease to crack me up that Japan.
They have a whole football league here in England too. It's not like an NFL league. It's not like NFL Europe. They have a whole football league here apparently, and they have the same system as they have with like European soccer or European football, where they have like relegation leagues. They have different leagues that you can move up apparently. And I was having it explained to me by this kid at the bar that plays, and then he's like, "But you're American, mate. Why don't you come out and play?" And I was like, "Dude, I'm old."
No.
Yeah. I was like, I still have that like machismo about me. I can't shut it off. So I was like, I travel for work all the time. I'm never gonna be able to make it to like a practice or a game. But in my head, I'm like, nah, bro, I'm not waking up sore anymore. Like I'm not hitting people anymore. Like you young cats, this is a game for you guys. You guys go out and do it. So speaking of though, American football, we got our second week of playoff rankings. Right. And you and I are both wondering the same thing. Like, why does Alabama, after they got beaten by LSU, granted on a 2-point conversion, right? But after they get beat by LSU, why do they keep getting – they're a 2-loss team, and so is LSU, and both are in the top 10.
Yeah. LSU over, right now we're watching this before anything has happened, but like over an Ole Miss, over a USC, who both only have – over Clemson even – who all have just one loss. It's really, I don't know. You can see where voters just have a boner for the SEC. Yeah. And it sucks. We were also talking about what's the Pac-12's path into the college football, playoffs, and it has to go through USC or Oregon. And the fact that
if USC loses to UCLA, I don't think even if Oregon wins out and beats UCLA in the championship, they're gonna, because of how bad Oregon beat UCLA in the first place. So even if it's a good game, plus you got TCU, right?
The math just is starting to not really line up. And, it's the same as it has always been. We were talking about earlier this season about how, maybe there's parity this year. No, there just isn't. I don't think we're going to see it. I don't think we're going to see it in these mega leagues. I don't think we're going to see it even with the expanded playoff system. I think that you still have to run through not just like the SEC schools, but like these traditional stalwart universities.
So are you thinking there's going to be 2 SEC schools in then?
Yeah, absolutely.
I was thinking 2 Big Ten teams. I was thinking like if Michigan or
and Ohio State.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. But I don't understand. Like so like we're talking about SEC having like all this love, from the playoff committee, which they don't. I don't know. Who knows what the fuck they do? It's closed door meeting. Like we don't know. But Ohio State's the same way because last week Ohio State only beat Northwestern, who's only by the way, they're the winningest team in Ireland because they've never won a game in the United States this year. Their one win was in Ireland over Nebraska. and Ohio State only beat them 21-7.
Well, not to mention, but I think I actually messaged you in the middle of that game because it was well into the third quarter before they scored again. And I was like, oh my God, are they going to whiff this one? Because if they do, that's hilarious.
Yes.
But it was such a low quality win, if you will. I don't know. I don't know if it was just a bad week for them, if they're going to get it together and look better. But in terms of like, I don't know, to use old fogey terminology here, strength of schedule, that was a low quality win that shouldn't give them any points over Michigan.
It makes no sense. Because Michigan's wins were more dominant, and they were against top 10 teams over the last 3 weeks. Up until this week, they played Rutgers. But they beat Rutgers like they should, 52-17, not 21-7.
Exactly. And I mean, I don't know what to do with TCU because I don't believe them. I hate them. I think that they're going to get smashed somewhere. Like, those horny frogs just need to go.
I think they got to make it or break it game, right? Because they play Texas this week, I believe.
Yep, they do.
And they play Texas with Quinn Ewers. And I think all of us, myself, you, and Wes, all agreed that if Quinn Ewers hadn't gotten hurt in that Alabama game, they would have crushed Alabama.
Yeah, we'll see how recovered he actually is from his injuries.
Ribs are tough.
But
Ribs are so tough. But he's been playing well.
I mean, yeah, but all it takes is one of those weird misplaced hits. You know, he doesn't even have to be fully stacked in order for something to happen there. So, I mean, you know, whenever someone comes back from injuries, basically anything as a quarterback, you kind of have to just hold your breath just a little bit for a couple weeks after they come back. And I mean, he hasn't been back that long. I don't know. That'll be an interesting game to watch. That's definitely on my radar for sure this weekend.
We got to keep watching the Pac too, because USC drops a stupid one every year, just like Oregon does. But Oregon's loss this year is actually against a great team, right? So we can't hold that against them. I need somebody to prove me right about Bo Nix. He almost Bo Nixed. He had a good game in the end, but this week against Colorado, he got very close to Bo Nixing. All right, I think he had like 2 interceptions, I want to say, against Colorado.
Yeah, he did.
And then they won 40-10. But I was like, he's gonna Bo Nix. Here it goes.
Yeah. It was oddly stressful for the first, definitely through the first quarter. It was like, what is happening here? You know, we're playing a 1-7 team. Like, you know, everyone we're playing them at home. But I mean, is it really a home game when like 30% of Denver is Oregon transplants? I mean, come on, like. You could hear more cheering for Oregon when Colorado like was messing up than you did like cheering for Colorado. So I mean, it really does say something.
Colorado's also not been relevant since Cordell Stewart. Is that fair? Is that a fair thing to say since Cordell Stewart?
Absolutely, it's been a long time, and it's really sad. But
I think so. I've always heard from my friends that were much better athletes than me that Boulder's like one of the best visits you can take if you go on like a college visit. That Boulder's amazing. It's
absolutely stunning. It is definitely takes an adjustment. That altitude is no joke.
Yeah.
As someone who has drank at an Oregon-Colorado game in Colorado and not really able to tell the tale of it. But I mean, Colorado and Colorado State are beautiful schools, like out in the mountains, and I wish they had more going for them in terms of like their actual, you know,
talent
football teams. Yeah.
Well, they got the Buffalo, which is one of the coolest entries into any college football game that exists. That and the Seminole, right? Like but those 4 guys trying to run with that Buffalo, and that Buffalo is just so happy to be free. Like I'm just afraid one day that Buffalo is going to be like sense freedom. Like, if I could just take these 4 down, I'm out. Who's going to stop me?
On that same vein, I am still worried about Bevo with those horns, like just deciding to go on a little rampage, like while he's doing his like Bevo Boulevard walk or whatever it's called.
Did you ever see Bevo versus Uga?
No.
Bevo went at Uga once, like in a Georgia-Texas game.
Like the actual cow.
Yes, went at Uga. Uga jumped out of the way.
Oh my god!
You gotta look it up after the show. You gotta look it up. I think it's called like Bevo versus Uga, and Uga like moves out of the way like just in time because Bevo was coming.
Yeah, Bevo is a big boy.
Yeah.
Big boy, big horns. And Gets bigger every year. It's terrifying. It's terrifying. I saw pictures of baby Bebo, and I was like, oh, it's kind of cute. He's got like little horns, and now it's just like.
Yeah. And he eats the whole game. He's eating that hay the whole game.
Yep.
With Ohio State, obviously their quarterback is getting a ton of hype to be a top pick this year, the number 1 pick. And you guys have heard my rant on this, and I'm gonna keep reminding everyone, all R.I.P. Dwayne Haskins. This is no disrespect. He just wasn't great in the pros. I don't mean disrespect. I'm just stating a fact, and I apologize. I'm not trying to hurt anyone's feelings. It's just the truth. But you go all the way back to any Ohio State quarterback, right? Troy Brown, bad. Williams, bad. Braxton Miller, bad. Who's before JT Barrett, bad. Now we're on Justin Fields, who had a great game this weekend, but not throwing the goddamn ball. I'm so sick of this shit. It's like, oh yeah, he broke a running back, right? Or the most yards by a quarterback rushing ever. Good. That must be his job now, right? Like, no, like, stop it. Like, he's not Lamar Jackson.
Running back.
Yeah, because Lamar Jackson can actually throw. So I have, and also Ohio State, even if he is good, he started his career at Georgia. And he couldn't beat out Stetson Bennett. Or not Stetson Bennett. Who's the backup quarterback? Jake Fromm. He couldn't beat out Jake Fromm for the starting job in Georgia. So he had to transfer to Ohio State. I'm not on the CJ Stroud hype train. I haven't seen a whole lot from him that makes me go like, oh, he's going to be great. Bryce Young, I get, because I have seen Bryce Young do some great things, right? Yeah. And I've seen CJ Stroud make great throws, but I've seen Bryce Young do great things. Same with Hendon Hooker at Tennessee. He's more of a big arm. He scares me. He reminds me way too much of Jamarcus Russell, and he's old. Like, those are the two things that scare me. And then you've got the guy I told you about, Hartman, who I think is just going to keep dropping in the draft because Wake Forest sucks. Is there anyone you're kind of keeping your eye on other than Bo Nix over in Oregon?
I'm sorry. I'm glad that he's doing great things for Oregon, but I am not, I can't get with him. I'm sorry. I don't know what the deal is. Might have read too many profiles about his personal life, but yeah, I'm just kind of like, they just talk about him being such a leader and all these amazing things. And I'm like, a team is not one person. It is the people around you. And yes, you need to be able to pull off amazing plays, but we also need to give a lot of love over to like Bucky Irving and like some of the other people on this team that are just week after week consistent in and out, making great plays.
The offensive line is great in Oregon. The offensive line is great again in Oregon. I don't know what they're doing, where they're getting these corn-fed boys, but Oregon's offensive line, the last 2 or 3 years has just been great.
But I mean, there's really not that many guys this season, actually, just in terms of like overall NFL prospects. Like there's no one, I mean, there's like Bryce Young and CJ Stroud that you're hearing over and over again because of course quarterback, but in terms of like who, like what the actual pickups are going to be, I'm not really sure, just because I don't think there's been a lot of focus on that. Whereas like in previous years, like, you've been hearing about, all the different guys at different positions. Maybe that'll kind of come into focus a little bit more as we get through towards the end of the season. But for now, I mean, my NFL watch radar is kind of just unclear at this point.
I get that. There's not been anybody that really knocks your socks off that's supposed to. Maybe Bijou, the running back for Texas. He's pretty good. And then we were supposed to see Smith and Jigba, right? Smith and Jigba was supposed to be like the all-star wide receiver out of Ohio State after last year's bowl game when he caught like 3 touchdowns for Ohio State. And he's been hurt all year, so we don't get to watch him. And then we get Marvin Harrison's son, and I can't think of his first name, so I apologize. And Ohio State has his breakout year. So now he's working his way up. And then we get Wynn, the guy that your brother really liked out of Tennessee that destroyed Alabama. And I'm like, man, it's always scary to see a wide receiver that just bolts up the board because he's fast. Like those guys very rarely do good. But I don't mean to throw that dead fish in your lap. It's just I start to get excited about the draft right now because my football team's terrible. And as we get closer to the end of the show, your team is not terrible. And I want to talk about Geno Smith, and you guys are playing Tom Brady this week in Germany tomorrow.
Just another chance to talk more smack about my brother who's off living his best life in Munich, Germany right now. He just happens to be attending the Seahawks game this weekend. So,
Your brother
he didn't even
me
invite me.
No, but he hits me up. He hits me up like the Friday or something before he goes to Germany. Meanwhile, I've been in Crete, so that's Greece for everybody that doesn't know. I've been in Crete, it's just an island, since Monday. And then he hits me up and goes, are you in Crete? And I was like, you knew I was going to be in Crete. We've talked about this multiple times about why I couldn't join you in Germany because I go from Crete to home to Netherlands. So that's why I couldn't go with you. But I'm thinking that, but I'm like, yeah, I'm in Crete. And he goes, oh, we're in the same country. Why don't you hop on a boat? And I'm like, bitch, you're on vacation. I'm working. Why don't you get on a boat and come see me? Like, what are you talking about? I couldn't believe it. I was shocked. I was like, you're not doing shit. Why don't you come see me? That's your brother.
Yeah. I mean, great.
But anyway, Geno's outperforming all of our expectations, right? Geno's been really good this year.
The Seahawks had the opportunity to go ahead and swap him out for someone else while they were making all these plays with transferring Russell Wilson out. But
Drew Lock.
Really good.
We all thought it was going to be Drew Lock.
Right, but it's really good to see that, I think Geno Smith over the years has learned a lot to just, he's just been kind of like sitting back very quietly, kind of like collecting a paycheck, making it some garbage time snaps, not really, just kind of being humbled a little bit. He was up here in college football world, worshipped a little bit. He gets drafted, a little bit lower, and he kind of just bides his time. And, almost a decade of doing that, he's turned out to just be a really mellow guy who's like, I'm just here to do my job, the one that you guys have been paying me for and I think he's great. I think that, his mellowed out attitude that he's had while sitting with the Seahawks for a while is just led him to be someone who's just a constant, continuous presence in the locker room that, he's just been a good dude. It's kind of hard to bring someone in new who doesn't necessarily have the whole view of what the team looks like. I mean, even though every year, of course, you're trading in new parts and stuff like that, and every year is going to be a little bit different in terms of team cohesion, but I think it was actually a good choice. It's not the most exciting or sexy choice for sure, but
yeah, we were all making fun of him.
Yeah. No, I know. But turns out that, I mean, maybe he's clearly surrounded by good players. And I think that there's a case to be made that Russell Wilson wasn't Russell Wilson because he's Russ. It was because of everyone who was around him, including Pete Carroll, who is, I don't know. I just love that guy.
Yeah, it's weird because I think he's the oldest coach in the NFL.
He is.
He doesn't look like the oldest coach in the NFL.
No.
So, yeah, I'm with you. Geno, hats off to him. He does just enough to not lose. He does exactly what is asked of him, and he goes out and wins. But when you say he's just a good dude, I wanted to make sure I said in Seattle because he did get his jaw broken by a teammate in New York.
So I meant just kind of in terms of being there, just being consistent. I mean, I don't know anything about his personal life or, off the field, what's going on. But in terms of what Seattle players and coaching staff have said about him, they've said he's just kind of a very mellow dude who's just seems to kind of get along with everyone. Maybe that moment made him take a back seat, and just shut up a little bit. I don't know if that was a teaching moment for him or if his teammate had anger issues. I don't know.
Well, I can tell you the story in a bit, but we're running short on time.
Did I get it completely wrong?
I'll tell you about it. It's not bad. It's not terrible. He didn't do anything gross or anything like that, but it's actually kind of it would be a funnier story if someone didn't get their jaw broken, but it is a funny story.
Okay.
So after all that, we're about done. So why don't we end it with, what are you looking forward to most from this weekend going into next week? Because we've got a lot of stuff coming up.
I am looking forward to, obviously, a few college football games this week. I'm looking to see Oregon just beat the crap out of the Huskies because we hate the Huskies. Also,
the real rivalry.
Yeah, the actual rivalry. Also, just want to keep seeing the Blazers develop this season. They're doing unexpectedly really well. Have been just kind of quietly doing their own thing, and it hasn't been flashy, but I love it. Just looking forward to that Munich game and seeing how well the sport is received in Germany. There's never been a game in Germany.
It's huge. It's huge.
So it'll be good to hear the post-game report from my brother if he ever makes it back, since he's terrible at traveling. Like, if he doesn't lose his passport or break another shower door,
please
go to the
don't put that out into the universe. The shower door.
Things that he has done before. As long as he makes it back, then we'll get the post-game report from someone who's on the ground, which will be pretty cool.
Absolutely. Yes, piggybacking on, I can't believe I just said that. Oh, I'll cut that. What you said was absolutely right about the Portland Trail Blazers. I am not a Blazers fan. I'm a Warriors fan, but Damian Lillard is from the Bay Area, just like myself. He is from Oakland. So I do want to see that man get his credit someday. He's been so great for so long. Doesn't get any credit. Context on the Germany fans. I will say that I know this because I've flown on multiple connections coming either from Luxembourg during a game or from Nuremberg during the Denver Broncos Jacksonville game, or I flew in for the first game that was played. I can't remember who played in that. Minnesota Vikings, someone else in the first game in England. And I came in on a plane from the Netherlands, and it was packed with German fans, packed with German football fans. So we hope we can pack out our subscribers with sad fans from all over. And thank you, Chelsea. I appreciate you making it.
I said, of course.
Oh, yes. We had some technical difficulties. We got it done. It will drop Saturday. So everything we were saying, we were gearing towards tomorrow as of Sunday. So tomorrow would be our Sunday. If you want to reach us, you can reach us at the Sad Fan Cast on Twitter. You could reach us at the Sad Fan Media Podcast Group on YouTube. We're on everywhere you listen to your podcast as far as Spotify is concerned, Apple Music, Amazon Music, Stitcher, Pocket Cast. Wherever you go, we're there. I promise. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week.